Hey guys, today we're talking about the duties and responsibilities of United States citizens. First, we have to define duties and responsibilities. Your civic responsibilities are things that you should do but aren't required by the law. That means you won't get in trouble if you don't fulfill your civic responsibilities. Your civic duties, on the other hand, are things that citizens must do according to the law. In other words, if you don't fulfill your civic duties, you could be punished. Your civic duties include paying taxes, serving in the armed forces if you're called, serving on a jury or as a witness in court, and following the law. Like I said before, people can face penalties if they don't fulfill their civic duties. There are two general penalties. First one is to be fined, like someone who breaks the speed limit and is pulled over by the police and gets a ticket. That ticket is a fine that they will then have to pay. Or, sometimes when you don't fulfill your civic duties, you could be sent to jail. Wesley Snipes did not pay his taxes for a long time, and he spent 3 years in jail as a result. So let's take a closer look at some of our duties. First of all, we need to obey the laws. And it's important to know why we need to obey the laws. Laws are created to protect people and to address problems in the community. In other words, they're supposed to make things better. So, those laws help to protect us, our property, and our rights. That's why we need to obey the laws, for our protection. Next is paying taxes. Paying taxes is important because the government gets their money from our taxes. And using those taxes, they pay for things that we need, like police and firefighters and the military. They pay for road projects when the roads are too devastated and all full of potholes and things like that. They pay for teachers and schools. They help to pay for sanitation departments where trash goes. They help make sure that our society runs smoothly, and they use tax money to do so. We call the tax money that they get revenue. When it comes to schools, it's particularly the property taxes that the state government uses to pay for schools. Next, we look at the idea of defending the nation. Under the law, individuals between the ages of 18 and 25 must register for the Selective Service. Sometimes you've heard of that referred to as the draft. When you turn 18, you'll receive a Selective Service card in the mail. You will need to fill that card out and send it back to the government. That registers you for the draft. However, it's very unlikely that there will be another draft. The last time the draft was even used was the Vietnam War, and they haven't used a draft for any war since then. Another duty is to serve in court, either as a witness or on jury duty. There are a few exceptions to being required to be at jury duty. If you're sick, they will not require you to be at jury duty. So if you have the flu and you stay home, you will not be punished. Also, if you have a family or personal emergency that you must tend to, that is a reasonable reason to miss jury duty, and they will not hold you in contempt of court. However, in general, if you are called as a witness or you are called to be on a jury, you must go. Next, we're going to look at a few of the responsibilities. Remember, the responsibilities, unlike the duties of citizens, are not legally binding. No one's going to come to you if you don't register and vote and try to give you a ticket or try to bring you to jail. Registering and voting is a responsibility, but in the end, if you don't want to share your voice with the government, it's your choice. Another responsibility is to hold elected office. Elected office is a government position where people had to elect you to be in that position. The highest level elective office in the United States is the president. And Barack Obama is the current president. He is fulfilling a civic responsibility by being president. Your next responsibility is to communicate with government officials to influence government actions. Without your input, they might not know issues in your community. And if they don't know the issues, they can't respond to them. One of the most stark examples of people communicating with their government to influence the actions of the government would be the Declaration of Independence, where the founding fathers, who at the time lived under the rule of the English king, wrote to the leader of their government and told him, "We no longer consider ourselves a part of your country." They influenced his governmental actions because he sent troops and there was a war. It's a general responsibility not to start wars, but at least communicate with your government officials to let them know what problems you have or issues you see in your community. Your next responsibility is to serve in voluntary, appointed government positions. President Obama is in an elected government position. The man in the picture is Secretary of State John Kerry. He was appointed by the president to hold that position, and it was his choice. He could have said no thank you, but he didn't, and now he's our Secretary of State. It's not required that you serve in these positions, but since you'd be working to help the country, it's considered a civic responsibility to do so. Your next responsibility is to participate in political campaigns. This year, 2016, there is an election, and the two major candidates of the Democratic and Republican parties are Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. If you were interested in fulfilling a civic responsibility, you might volunteer to help out either of their campaigns, depending on which one you prefer. The next responsibility is keeping informed regarding current issues. Again, no one is going to make you pay attention to the news, but it is kind of an important responsibility because if you're informed, then you can form opinions and let your government leaders know what you would like them to do in response to these issues. Your last responsibility is to respect other people's right to an equal voice in government. Remember, respect is a two-way street. In order to earn respect, you have to show respect. And in this case, we're talking about respecting other people's rights to an equal voice. That means even if you don't agree with them, they still deserve the right to explain what they believe and not be made fun of for it. Respecting others' rights means that you're showing them the respect that you hope for when you're explaining your political beliefs. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.